Got another lawsuit? Yeah, we do. I actually started printing it off, and my printer actually ran out of paper. They're quite long, printing out lawsuits. Blake comes back with her amended lawsuit. I'm going to be talking about the new stuff that she's added. I'm not a law girly. I'm not going to be going through every little bit, but what I am going to be going through is just bits that I found that are interesting, because a lot of it is stuff that she'd already said.
I'm not really sure why the dates are redacted. That's interesting. I understand why people could be redacted. I believe in certain privacy rights, but I'm not really clear on why dates would be redacted.
Grab a snack, grab a beveragino of your choosing, and we're just gonna get on with Blake Lively's amended lawsuit.
Oh, hey, Ryan Reynolds.
Hi.
Hey. Ryan Reynolds, how's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
Now bear this in mind, she actually requested an extension. She was granted an extension. It was actually supposed to come out on Monday, and I think it came out on Tuesday, and today is Thursday. Just giving a little brief, right? If you have no idea what's going on between Blake and Justin at this point, it is way too much for me to explain, but definitely go and check out my earlier videos on this situation. I have covered Blake Lively since the premiere of It Ends With Us, and as a result, have been covering the Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively lawsuit. She says, for years prior to the release of the film, Mr. Baldoni portrayed himself as a leader of the male feminist movement, writing books, hosting podcasts, and holding TED Talks on the topic. In reality, however, Mr. Baldoni's public persona is a stark contrast to his private behaviour, which is replete with hypocrisy, misogyny, and retaliation, saying that the harassment and the bullying on his end started a couple years prior to the release of the film. What is interesting about this amended complaint is I'm not sure if you guys have seen the HR complaints that came in, and I will throw them up on the screen here. She goes on to say, Miss Lively, her family, other members of the cast, and various fact witnesses that all of the above have received disturbing threats. One fact witness known to publicly support Miss Lively recently received a written threat indicating that the witness's family would be actually assaulted and unalived unless the witness agreed to make a statement and give the truth. She then goes on to say that this is happening because of the smear campaign that was done against her, so all the negativity. She's going to be mentioning people, but she's not going to be giving names. She says, the dangerous climate of threats, harassment, and intimidation fueled by the defendant's retaliation campaign has required Miss Lively to alter her personal and professional life and to take steps to protect innocent bystanders. Thus, this amended complaint does not refer to certain witnesses by name, nor does it provide screenshots of their text messages. When Justin produced his, he was obviously able to deliver names, text messages, even if things were redacted. If this is actually true and they're wanting to protect privacy so that people don't, bombard on that person, because she's saying that people have received unaliving threats. Sorry, I know I hate that word, but if I say the actual word, YouTube doesn't like it. I understand the name. However, the text messages, only they would know who they were. Lively brought this lawsuit because she was one of the women or two that Mr. Baldoni 1,000,000% made uncomfortable on the set of the film. These included spoke about pornography addiction, divulged information about his sex life, made derogatory, degrading sexual comments, describing his own genitalia, improvised intimacy that had not been rehearsed, choreographed, or discussed with Miss Lively in advance, added graphic content to the script, including multiple new scenes with nudity and a chaotic and violative birthing scene for which he cast a friend as her OBGYN, among other things. Upon information and belief, so since I filmed this video, I'm now editing it, there has been a Hollywood Reporter article that has come out which allegedly is disclosing with people that are close to this who those two people are who are named as the actresses in the lawsuit. Sources indicate the two women are actresses Jenny Slate and Isabel Ferrer. Isabel Ferrer in particular, she is the young Lily who could not immediately be reached for comment. Slate is a veteran comic and actress known for roles in Parks and Recreation and Everything Everywhere All at Once. Ferrer is a newcomer to the industry and was only around 23 at the time of filming when she played the younger version of Lively's character. Within this, as I'm already going to be covering anyway, within this video, yes, they will testify if they have to in court. My only question is, why was this not brought out earlier, but whatever, we will literally just have to see in court.
Also, I just want to point out as well is that in Justin Baldoni's lawsuit, he actually received a letter from Isabel Ferrer saying what a great experience she had, or something along those lines. Well, I'll put it up here.
Complainant states she became uncomfortable with Justin Baldoni yesterday while filming. She states Mr. Baldoni put his bare hands on her butt and said he was trying to help with her posture. Complainant immediately voiced her displeasure with being touched on an intimate part of her body, and Mr. Baldoni responded with, "It's fine, I'm totally hot for my wife," in a dismissive tone. Complainant relayed to Mr. Baldoni that it did not matter what his relationship with his spouse was like, that he did not have permission to touch her inappropriately. Baldoni then responded, "Oh no, better go see HR," to which complainant replied, "I will." Approximately 3 hours later, Baldoni approached complainant and stated he was sorry they got off on the wrong foot. Complainant stated she replied, "You got off all right, but it had nothing to do with your feet," and walked away from Baldoni. Complainant's agent provided text messages from complainant, including one sent approximately 18 minutes after incident, wherein complainant said, "Justin Baldoni just literally grabbed my ass in front of the cameras. I want to talk to someone at Sony right now." There's another one as well where someone is saying that Justin had approached her and was asking about how she orgasmed, something along those lines. This is a summary of 3 reports filed by complainant. During the first week of filming, they noted several unsettling experiences with a collaborator, boss, and director Justin Baldoni. Assuming that these are the complaints that Blake Lively is referencing when she's saying that she's not naming names, she's not sharing text messages. Play devil's advocate again, right? There was an article, I think it was Variety, when this kind of was kicking off, and Sony gave a statement and said during production we had no HR complaints.
It's published that's out there that says Sony received no complaints.
Yeah, Sony has said they received no complaints. So Sony's going to have to. It seems to me that if Blake wants this to stick, or the other two, no one else is coming forward saying that they also were harassed or experienced anything untoward with their director, Justin Baldoni. But Blake's going to have to get Sony to come forward, and I don't think they have. And if they haven't, I don't see them coming forward until it's time.
Miss Lively reported her concerns regarding unwelcome and inappropriate behaviour by Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath, the chief executive officer of Wayfarer, producer of the film, to Sony employee Ange Giannessi, who we're going to hear about quite a lot in a minute, the film's representative for its distributor, Sony Pictures Entertainment. Over the following 3 days, in May of 2023, another female cast member reported her own concerns regarding the behaviour to both Giannessi and one of the film's producers. Giannessi went and spoke to Wayfarer. Wayfarer took no action. A lot of people are speculating. Is her name Izzy? This woman right here. That is the speculation that is going on. Their privacy hasn't really been kept under wraps. Maybe they should have just released the text messages if this is who they're alluding to, of course, but everyone is saying this. You might as well just share the text messages. Yet later, another female cast member confided to Miss Lively that she too felt uncomfortable on set, and was documented in writing almost 1 year before the editing of the film began. Importantly, none of the requested protections were tied in any way to Miss Lively's creative input in the film, and were made months before any discussions regarding the cut of the film. At that moment in time, with the completion of the film uncertain, Miss Lively did not request, nor did she receive, any creative rights, editing rights, credits, or any other role on the film beyond her roles as an actress and executive producer. It does fall in line with what Justin was saying, because what Justin was saying was that when they came back from the writer's strike, that is when she actually started being like, "I'm not coming back unless," allegedly, "unless I get this or this or this." That's when that started. Prior to that happening, she was really just asking, "Hey, can I edit this? Am I allowed the rooftop scene? Do you like this Khaleesi dragon situation?" And then she was also taking over wardrobe. In other words, at the precise moment in time when Miss Lively had maximum leverage prior to resuming production, she did not use that leverage to obtain anything other than protections for herself and others to ensure a safe work environment for all. The notion that she did all of this as some sort of crazy plot to take control of the movie at some future point, which she did not do in any event, is it absurd, and there is not a shred of evidence to support it. This is the one thing I'm not on the fence about, because I feel like we need to really see this in court. Looks like Blake was trying to get her paws on the film. Based on the emails and based on the text messages between her and Justin, with her asking for the dailies and asking for this and that and this and getting quite persistent in it, this was before she ever did before the writer's strike ever happened. I think that there was a huge element in her trying to take control of production. She admitted to in the past, coming in all smiley as an actress, and then she'd then try and pull the rug underneath the directors and the producers and ask for more, and sometimes this would irritate them. But that's just who she is. As the cast and crew returned to production on January 14th, 2024, Miss Lively reassured a female cast member that as a result of the protections that Wayfarer and Sony had agreed to, you don't need to hug anyone this time, to which the female cast member responded with gratitude. Allegedly, Lively said he won't touch you or shouldn't. I don't think he or Jamie Heath will, and that she wants it to be a professional workplace. What the public did not know was this was the beginning of a multi-tiered plan that Mr. Baldoni and his team described as social manipulation designed to destroy Miss Lively's reputation. Then starts going off on Steve Sarowitz, worth billions, does lots of philanthropy, and he basically just wants to help out people, and he's also one of the people supporting Wayfarer. Blake has a lot of choice things to say, which might shock some people. The plan was backed by virtually unlimited resources. Steve Sarowitz, who divulged to a witness at the film's New York premiere on August 6th that he was prepared to spend $100 million to ruin the lives of Miss Lively and her family. That was not the only time Mr. Sarowitz made such a threat. Later in August, even though the film had turned out very well and that Wayfarer and also him had made lots of money, Mr. Sarowitz confessed to another witness, an individual who was working with Wayfarer on an unrelated project, that if Miss Lively or Mr. Reynolds ever cross the line ever, then I will go after them. He declared, and this is in quotation, big bold, I will protect the studio like Israel protected itself from Hamas. There were 39,000 bodies. There will be 2 dead bodies when I'm done. Once again, extremely massive statement to make. Huge. Would need evidence. Minimum, not dead, but you're dead to me, so that kind of dead, but dead to a lot of people. If they ever get me to that point, then I'll make it worth their while, because I'm going to spend a lot of money to make sure the studio is protected. She then went on and she was talking about that video that was released, the behind the scenes footage of them slow dancing, and Blake alleged that he was acting inappropriately and that he would force her to kiss her, and there was loads of foul play going on. When it was then kind of discovered that actually it wasn't exactly like that, exactly as Blake was describing it, and Justin was very much in character. There's one body language expert who she ends up quoting. The footage by itself corroborates Miss Lively's description of the scene. This is not just Miss Lively's view. As Mia Shorter, an independent and experienced intimacy coordinator, noted in response to an inquiry from the Hollywood Reporter, the footage shows Mr. Baldoni trying to kiss her, and they clearly haven't discussed this ahead of time, and she keeps pulling away. To respond to the video which Brian Friedman had put out and released to the public, she then responds by saying, oh, but there was this intimacy coordinator, and she agrees that it wasn't 100%. As everything was continuing to go on, Blake and there was another female cast member, I'm not even sure which one at this point, I think there's 3 of them in total, including Blake. Have I got that one wrong? I don't know. Like, there's no names and there's no anything, so... And there's not even female cast member 1 and 2. Usually if you're trying to tell the difference, they'll go like, female cast member A or B, like something, but I've got no idea which one they're talking about. On May 26, 2023, that cast member reached out to Miss Lively to ask if she had talked to Miss Giannetti and informed Miss Lively that her manager knows Miss Giannetti and would be willing to offer support. Miss Lively responded that she had spoken to Miss Giannetti for 45 minutes as a text message to prove from and Giannetti to be, I will say what I did want to review discuss feels very, very small in light of today's news. I'm so sorry calling you in moments. I want to ask is what is that news? It doesn't say. That news could literally be about anything. Just gonna put this out there. I'm just putting it out there without it explicitly saying what the bad news is. It could be talking about them being harassed, but it also could be talking about something else. Do you know what I mean? In that conversation with Miss Giannetti, May 26th, Miss Lively told her that she wanted to file a HR complaint about both Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath's misconduct. Although she was sympathetic, Miss Giannetti told Miss Lively that Sony, as the distributor of the film, was not empowered to oversee physical production, which included Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath's behaviour on set. So basically, she was like, nothing we can do. Really hope I am pronouncing her name right. Miss Giannetti, if this is true, would literally have to like testify in court. She is the only one that can tell us whether or not this is true or not. This is what I'm trying to get at. And Sony said that they hadn't received a single HR complaint, which, unless they just didn't report back or whether they're covering their asses, I don't know. She also goes on to address a lot of other things about the editorial room, which I was flummoxed? I was most perplexed about. The assertion Miss Lively bullied her way into editing room is not only false, but it was not even necessary. If she was not happy with the film, she could have easily just moved on to her next project. But she was too busy trying to steal this one. She had offers for directing jobs before, during, and since the film. If she wanted to direct, she could do that at any time, and without having to deal with the Wayfarer parties, whom she very clearly wanted nothing to do with. The story of the edit of the film is not relevant to Miss Lively's claims of sexual harassment and retaliation. It is a red herring designed to distract the public away from the grave misconduct by the defendants. The story of the editing of the film actually does play a pretty key role in making all of this make any sense whatsoever. Her takeover of this film is actually a very interesting and important element to if any of this is true or not. I'm not saying it's me, but I'm just saying some people are very suspicious and thinking that she's making this stuff up so that she can take over the film, which she did succeed in doing, okay? Or was she harassed so felt like she could get her own way back? Do you know what I mean? So actually, it's such a key player in this. I do honestly think that she did try and gain a sense of control over this film. That is what I think, and you guys can disagree on that all you want, but that is the one bit that I do agree. And her lawyer turning around and being like, actually this isn't very important because we need evidence to say that that was not what you were doing. Then spins it and they try and make it seem like actually Baldoni, Heath and Wayfarer were using Blake to gain access to her star power. Notwithstanding their complaints today that Miss Lively supposedly seized control of Mr. Baldoni's film, that did not stop Mr. Baldoni from proudly marketing the film as his work on release. It's his film! It was his film. It was his film. It was his film. He's allowed to market it. He's allowed to market the freaking film as his film because actually it was his film. And there's so much text messages to prove that he was not happy giving her any of this creative control. Okay, there's like, he's already shown this. We don't need to see any more. In my opinion, I don't need to see any more of her trying to take stuff because we have emails and text messages and freaking them being banished to the basement. Like, I feel like we don't need any more. Or maybe some of you guys do. Maybe I'm just set in my ways, but it was his film, right? It was his film. You did try and take it, Blake. Come on now. The irony of Wayfarer's complaint should be lost on no one. Mr. Sarowitz, Mr. Baldoni, and Mr. Heath have reaped benefits from Lively's hard work. The film quickly became Wayfarer's most lucrative project to the record-breaking tune of over 350 million. Reveling in the financial success of the film, they now incredibly accuse Miss Lively of hijacking. So now she's saying that, you know, that didn't stop them from getting very happy that the film was such a big success, even though Justin Baldoni's name was on it. Backs up the point again that actually they were given kind of almost scripts by Sony on how to produce the film, and they were told to produce it in this light-hearted tone, which I still feel like we're not really getting to the bottom of this. And then Justin Baldoni then like separated from the rest of the cast, then was talking to Abel, who is the publicist, I think, or the PR crisis. No, the publicist, one of which, there's so many names. And he was saying to her, how should I play this? Like, I want to go into it with DV in mind. Miss Abel cautioned Mr. Baldoni that this shift might be too drastic too soon. Mr. Baldoni insisted on a TikTok strategy and that his promotional activities for the film should seek to amplify what he described as survivor content. From Justin to Jennifer, hey, just landed, what is the TikTok strategy? I'd like you guys to start posting me only talking about domestic violence and clips and why this movie is so important. Team followed his instructions. For her part, Miss Abel advised Mr. Baldoni that creating content about domestic violence would be acceptable following his initial marketing plan. From Jennifer, it doesn't feel performative now that you've done major substantial press on the topic. See, I don't actually think that this is too damning, and I tell you the reason why, because he was posting about this kind of stuff before the premiere even came out. So why would it be performative? Because he had the podcast, he used to do loads of stuff like this. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense as to why, you know, the performative element comes into it. I think is that, you know, because Blake was marketing it in a certain way, it would look performative against what she's doing if no one really knew who Justin was, bearing in mind he's been taken off of like the poster and like all sorts. People might be like, why the hell is he over there? Like, it might look weird, it might look performative if you don't know who he is. So I don't actually think these are that damning. I think they were just having a conversation about how to play this, because otherwise it makes him look, I don't know, do you know what I mean? It makes him look a bit performative. But for people that already knew, A, what this film was about, and B, Justin Baldoni and what he's always talked about, it does make sense. Does that make sense? The Blake hair care beauty thing. She then goes on to explain the Blake Brown Beauty, her hair care line, was deeply poo-pooed by Justin Baldoni's like smear campaign. It was released in Target, I think, and it had, you know, done numbers. It was like one of the most purchased, hyped hair care line that they'd had in a while. And then all of a sudden it dropped and plummeted, and the sales went so bad, and now no one's buying it, and they are convinced that it has something to do with Baldoni. When I first started talking about Blake and the premiere, one of the things I talked about was Blake Brown Beauty, and I actually referenced this lovely lady up here. She's obviously caught wind of what they're saying in the lawsuit about, you know, Blake Brown Beauty. She said that, no, I still stand on business. No, I was not paid by anyone. It was just not a good product.
Blake's amended lawsuit, she is trying to say that Justin Baldoni is the reason why Blake Brown failed due to social manipulation and the smear campaign. As someone who posted a review that got 2.3 million views, I can tell you now that is not why Blake Brown failed. Those products destroyed my hair, and I was not some plant from Justin, okay? I got the products because everybody was saying that it smelled super good, which it did, which I said in my reviews, smelled really good. And also, I liked Taylor Swift and I liked Blake Lively at the time. I grew up watching Gossip Girl, and I thought, hey, even if it isn't the best hair care thing I've ever bought, I can probably make it work. I was influenced by the hype. It made my hair so crunchy. I am telling you, when I took it down, maybe I'll include a clip. When I took my hair down on the ponytail, you can hear it. You can hear the dryness of my hair. I want to show you guys what my hair looks like when it is natural after I just wash it. This is what my curls look like. And this is what Blake Brown did to my hair. So yes, the hair care line was really that bad.
They also say, further, since receiving such notice of the CRD complaint on information and belief, Wayfarer, Mr. Baldoni, Mr. Heath and their associates ramped up their retaliation, continuing their efforts to destroy her to this date, deploying the same flood the zone tactics to overwhelm the process and confuse people. I'm just going to say it right here, right now. I have never been contacted by anyone. I'm literally this random girl who makes videos, living in Wales, who the Blake Lively premiere caught my attention, as well as so many other people. I think everyone's being paid. You know, maybe there are some industry plants out there, maybe things have been planted in, but you can't say that every single bit of criticism that has come up is not organic. I think that's just silly, but that seems to be what they're saying. On information and belief, which seems to be the biggest trend of this thing. Defendants Counsel has threatened numerous third-party witnesses, journalists, media entities, and others with lawsuits if they speak out against or publish unfavourable information about Mr. Baldoni or any other defendant. She's also saying as well that on the February 4th, Amazon Prime Video announced on social media that they were coming up with that film, A Simple Favor 2. The announcement immediately faced a steady stream of comments repeating the false and harmful statements invented and perpetuated in the smear campaign financed by Mr. Sarowitz by defendants. These actions were designed to damage the success of Miss Lively's new film. Okay, and the comments were, why is Blake Lively's name placed higher than Anna Kendrick? Is it also her edit? Yes, there's TikToks on this, because she probably bullied them to do it. Anna hates her too. Right, look at this poster. Anna Kendrick's name is in fact lower than Blake Lively's. That is not a lie. Yes, we don't necessarily know that Anna hates her, but it has been recorded that they didn't always get along very well. I'm pretty sure they both said that to each other on the couch, actually, that it's not always been easy or something along those lines. Another one was, instead of taking over others people project, why don't you create your own project? If you want to be project director, producer, wardrobe team, script writer with your own money, this is the most logical cue that I'm asking you. Someone said probably because you don't have any talent. Oof. Why would you want to take over someone's movie? The outfits for It Ends With Us were so out of touch. Which the outfits, considering she took over wardrobe and then allegedly, based on emails that have come back from, I think it's Sony or from the budget people, basically going, we've gone really over budget. Like, we've gone way over budget and we've only bought outfits for Blake, pretty much. So, yeah, you need to cut back. The actual character Lily Bloom was supposed to be flower tending lady. She works in a flower shop, okay? She's not meant to be decked out, but Blake did in fact deck out her outfits, which didn't quite match up with the book. And so, yeah, and I'm just honestly, like, the comments just keep on going. And this vitriol and violence is unlike anything Miss Lively has experienced in her 20-year career. At no point until the initiation of defendants' campaign had Miss Lively or her family experienced anything remotely like the above. Well, they are very privileged, I will say. Although I don't think I'd be able to cope with this amount of internet hate, like, no way. Also saying that this campaign has been devastating to Miss Lively, and in other parts she's saying that she can't leave the house, which, I mean, granted, she might be spending a lot more time in the house. However, we have seen her pictured out and about. She was at the SNL thing. We also saw pictures of her and Ryan. Ryan also did that, like, fake paparazzi shoot. Come on, that was blatantly fake.
Ryan! Come on, Anna! Ryan, please. Ryan, one look right here, Ryan.
They were also out with Wolverine, Hugh Jackman as well. Is she spending a lot more time indoors? Probably. Also going on to say that this has caused emotional turmoil to their children and that their children have been deeply affected by this, etc., etc., etc. I think they've got 4. Haven't they? 4. Yeah, it says, worst of all, however, has been the impact on their young children who have been traumatized and emotionally uprooted in ways that have substantially impacted their well-being. If you're getting paid big bucks, you're going to put in anything that would make sense. Now, I will leave that lawsuit, if I can, linked in the description box. I've got it saved as a file, so I'll try and find where I got it from and then put it in the description box if you can't find it, because some of these are actually quite difficult to find. When I was trying to find Blake's original one without wanting to pay for it, I literally went on a mad goose chase all over the internet. Like, where the hell is it? What are my overriding thoughts on this situation? Okay, so I'm still holding strong on the fact that Blake did, in fact, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that she wanted to take over this film. That's one of the things that I really do think. Okay. Number 2, the smear campaign. I'm still not 100% convinced that every single thing to do with Blake Brown Beauty, or to do with people making TikTok videos, or to do with, you know, people making comments, that all of that was to do with the smear campaign. I'm not sold on it, because I do feel like a lot of what she did got public attention, and it was what she was doing. It was at first to do with the premiere. Okay, so I'm not buying it. The sexual harassment and the harassment in general. Now, when you're reading through these, okay, I will be honest, it's not that I don't think there's a possibility, because I am very much waiting, and this might piss people off, but I'm waiting, and I've said this from the very beginning, I'm waiting till they get into court. We hear from the Sony woman who allegedly has had all of these text messages and all of these HR complaints. I'm waiting for her to stand up. I'm waiting for the other 2 women who allegedly, one of them touched the bum and all of that. I'm waiting for them to say something. We haven't got a name. We haven't got a date, really. We haven't got anything. That's what I'm waiting for next year. Because, you know, anyone at the end of the day, even Justin, any of them can just be submitting fan fiction. And I'm not talking about Blake. I'm talking about both of them. Because it's a complaint. It's when you get to court and they have discovery, you're like, oh, what's happened over here? Witnesses, defendants, people we didn't know. Do you know what I mean? I don't feel like this added any evidence, because there wasn't any evidence. There was words saying that they had complained, and there was text messages and this happened. But because they couldn't even include the names, they couldn't include the text messages, even if names were redacted. They couldn't include a lot of things that they were saying did happen. It was very much just upon information and belief, which does make it really difficult as someone who, you know, I wasn't there. I don't know what's happening. Sony woman has a lot to answer to, let me tell you, because she seems to know everything. But Sony said they didn't get any HR complaints. So what's going on? That is pretty much all I've got for you guys today. I am well and truly done with talking. I do not know how, like Runkle with Bailey and that, how they go through these lawsuits generally line for line. I don't know how they do it. Kudos to you guys. I mean, they do it as a job anyway. But even actually just people doing this as a job, oh my gosh, like my throat, back of my throat kind of hurts. God. Heavy labor going on over here. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful day wherever you are in this world. Take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and I will catch up with you guys in the next video.